Welcome back to the Profit First REI podcast. Have Ken Barton today. And Ken, I'm super excited to learn more about Offa.com and what you're doing because I got to sit next to you in a room in a mastermind and you show me some pretty cool things. So, Ken, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for the invite, David. It's awesome. Yeah, the family mastermind has been really effective for our business as well. But yeah, we've been at Offa now. I was just looking at it. I keep because like time is relative when you're building a startup. So you're just like
Yeah.
everything is so fast. But we're almost at our 1 year anniversary. Officially, the company launched last like late February, so almost there.
Yeah.
But we didn't really have any traction for like 3 months. But yeah, like we are almost 1 year old.
Awesome. Well, then why don't were you always in real estate or like, did you just find real estate or like, were you in data or I don't know. Tell me your background. I want to know a little bit more about Ken.
David, I have a complicated story. So I
Even better. Just
am,
kidding.
yeah, I would say I'm a contrarian by nature. So I don't like to go the normal path. I just find it
Cool.
boring. I need to be challenged. I was always an obstinate child. If we go back to like my youth. But no, like for example, my degrees are in Mandarin Chinese. I speak fluent Mandarin.
Wow.
如果你要表演一下，我能表演吧。Like I can literally prove it. Like I'm very fluent in Mandarin. I lived there. I lived in China for 5 years.
Wow.
Um, because when I got to university, I'm first generation college. I went to a community college, right? Because like I didn't think
Yeah.
school or grades mattered. So I got like C's. I was like, that's the minimum I have to do. Cool. I'm gonna go run my pressure washing business and make $2,000 a week. And that's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that was a majority of my high school was like finding ways and like thank goodness I wasn't born now because I would have been like a junk removal guy. I would have done that. I would have gone the entire blue collar route. I would have had no higher level education. I would have said absolutely not. I was just like
Yeah.
very money obsessed when I was younger because for me, money's always freedom. And so I when I got to university, they were like, "Oh, you can do business courses," and I'm like, "I've literally already done this. Like, I had to learn accounting when I was 16 because I had to like file taxes because I made $10,000. Like all of this seems
Awesome.
really also YouTube could teach me this. Like, this is not very
Right.
useful, right? Like, all of this is kind of boring." And so in the end, I studied Mandarin. So I was like, I love Chinese food. I want to do something. I want to do something in university that I can't do anywhere else. I want to like and be impactful. You'll see that the through line of my entire life is I'm not very complacent, and I'm kind of allergic to complacency, and I'm not comfortable doing something that's very simple or like average or boring. That's not exciting to me. I need to be challenged, otherwise I'm not personally satisfied. And so like the early stages is Mandarin, and then I learned very quickly if you're going to have a job, it's nice to have someone else pay your bills. So like as a real estate guy, I think that's always the thing is like people are like, "Oh, I love real estate." And I'm like, "Me too." But I also love other people paying my bills. And I learned very quickly technology pays really well. And people in technology, they have really high value products. They have infinite inventory and they have no delivery. Dream product to sell. And by the way, their commissions are usually double digits, very high commissions. And so I got
Wow.
into sales and I ran a sales team in Shanghai. I ran a sales team in Berlin, Germany for 2 years. And I've been all over the US from New York to Chicago. And now I live full time in San Francisco. But yeah, I've been in sales for more than a decade, sold $40 million of software. And it's been delightful.
Awesome. So then how did you get to the real estate world? Like what brought you or like what motivated you to get involved in Offa and all the real estate technology?
David, I call it the elliptical of like compensation. And so like,
Yeah.
like elliptical, like the like, little, almost like the stairs everywhere, like always going like this, right? And so it's the
Yeah.
same thing. Get a job, make commission, make money, get taxes, boom, get a job, all the way around the circle. And so, like every other person that like realizes their tax bill starts, I'm just like watching my tax bill grow every year. And I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't use that, and like it's a W two job, unlike on a year in business, it's taken right out. So like I
Yeah.
see like, oh, I made all this money. Actually, I made a small portion of that.
Yeah.
Um, and so I started reading. That's me. Like I read a lot of books, and my solution was I need to figure out my number one problem at the time was taxes. I was good at making money, good at growing my like whether it's a job or a business, like growing that piece. But I had to figure out how to like build wealth. And I think I probably heard one of those quips online that says you got to make money while you sleep. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
not going to be effective. And that really stuck with me. And so, of course, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and I started reading. And I'm an audiobook person. I'm actually like really very passionate about audiobooks. I'm not a fan of, I can't, you'll see from me talking super ADHD, cannot sit still. I believe ADHD is a like superpower. I can handle 19 things at once, where like I know a lot of people I work with can only handle like two or three. And I'm like, okay, slow down, Ken. Slow down for this other person. But like I can
Yeah.
keep going. And so I actually read 12 books on real estate, everything, Beardy Brandon's like Burr, like I read it
Yeah.
all, and then I was like, okay, and I didn't have the money. That was my whole problem. David, this is a really fun story. So during the pandemic, um, I got contacted by someone who worked for me previously, and he's like, Ken, I can't tell you who it is, so I still have an NDA, but a professional athlete needed a business plan. Okay, this is a funny story, David, um, because I don't know anything about concentrated solar power. Okay, this is a renewable energy. It's basically, if you've ever seen the images, it's those huge towers that shine light on all these solar panels, creates a bunch of heat. No idea. My friend calls me, an ex-employee, and he says, Ken, I have a client who has a lot of money and wants a business plan. And he won't buy it from me, but he'll buy it from someone smart. And I think you should charge him a lot of money for this. And I said, put him on the phone with me. I mean, I've been in sales for a long time. Like, let's go. If someone's paying a lot of money to something, I know how to arbitrage. Like, I know how to do this game. And the reason why this is pertinent to the story, Data, is I have the knowledge now. I was like, okay, I want to go buy real estate, but I didn't have the cash, And I had some cash, like obviously, commissions and the tax elliptical, you get money, but I didn't have the money. I wasn't ready to like make the jumps. Didn't have enough flush. I wouldn't feel safe enough. And it's always been, like, I'm not going to talk to I'm not going to do this with my parents. It's like, it's just me. I'm like, I need to own this. That's like kind of me. And so, long story short, David, would you like to guess how much I charged this professional athlete for a business plan for a concentrated solar power company?
25,000.
Keep going.
50,000.
Keep going, David.
100,000.
Keep going, David.
200,000.
It was $185,000.
Wow. There we go.
And what's amazing about that is, talk about wholesaling, talk about arbitrage, right? What's amazing about that is I felt so guilty because I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like, this is before ChatGPT. Remember internet? Like, that didn't exist back then. So that was good. It's an interesting time. But what I did was I called my friends who were PhDs in energy science, and they're like, we love concentrated solar power. There's all these things. There's all these problems with it. And basically, I paid each one of them $1,000 to create a separate business plan, and I just like kind of pulled together pieces that I liked, and he was elated. And so that's how I had some money to invest in real estate. Like, I was like shocked when this man wired me like to get started. He's like, oh, I'll just wire you the $60K today. No contract, nothing. We just started with that, and I was like, what a wild experience. So that's what opened me up to like the ability to invest in real estate, because again, like, I'm so scared. I didn't know, like, and now look at myself years later. I mean, debt is a superpower now, but at the time I was like scared, and I hadn't even bought my own house yet. I'd always been renting. So I was in big cities. But that's what started my journey. And I did the good old fashioned Burr. I bought a duplex in downtown Orlando, which is actually interesting. I was so scared, David. There were 2 single family homes on one lot. And I literally found it off market because I was like driving around, and I found this thing that said for sale in the yard. Super gross, like really grody looking property. It's like roofs look rough, but I was like, this is what they say you're supposed to buy. But the fear I had was I was worried they were like bamboozling me into buying one of these houses for $75K instead of both.
Yeah,
and it's also during the pandemic. So now, now I think it's worth about $450K. That property, because it's downtown Orlando, like how like nice it is. But yeah, 2020, I bought it for $75K. Thankfully, I called the city a million times. Are you sure? Are you sure it's a duplex? Are you sure I'm not getting like cheated here? And I bought that. Met some local guys for renovation. Like, I was there every day. It was amazing. It changed my entire life like that. And I will actually say I've never bought a property that I have not personally walked around, felt the walls. Like, I don't think I ever would. I have a good friend of mine who does some remote flipping, and I'm like, you are a wild animal. I would never do this. I just don't trust anyone. I don't like, it's not like even the contractors that I'm there with, I'm like, guys, you literally are not doing anything that I asked you to do. What's going on? So anyway, how I got into real estate was reading a lot. I got that first property. I started making content. I started like, it wasn't very interesting, but like I was like kind of telling my story, my journey. And then I had some friends start watching me and say, hey, Ken, I want to do that too. And especially when I started talking about the tax deductions, nothing else really mattered. I mean, David, I'm sure, you and I could talk about this all day, but like the tax deductions were how I raised my first $1.5 million from a crypto friend of mine, because he'd made $6 million a year before in crypto. And his problem was he actually liquidated it, and he put it into a bank account. And so now he called me, and he's like, Ken, I need to go lose money really fast. And I know real estate's one of the ways you can do that. I don't have time to learn this. Can you please deploy this for me? And that's how my portfolio went from 10 units to 50. Because of course I got
Okay.
equity in everything, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
it's a long way to say it, but like I've been in real estate, I want to say about 8 years now. And I'll be honest, David, today I'm actually like really pulled back. Just because there's a lot of issues, but like I want to be in the flow of funds to real estate, but not necessarily ownership.
Sure.
I'm not someone who really enjoys the minutia and like the specifics and the small stuff. And I think my favorite example is Tommy Harr out of Columbus, Ohio. Like what a shining example of like a proper real estate investor.
Yeah.
Big fan of him. I've held his children. Like I used to live in Columbus, Ohio for 2 years. It just like he's done everything. He's like he learned all the things that were problematic and then he built companies around them to solve them. He like owns that market. But I live in San Francisco. Like this is not a market you can go like flip or play in very easily. And I also don't want the risk of like, oh, you need a new roof. Cool, it's $115,000. Like I don't want this world.
Right.
This is not for me.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Right.
I like the business side of like connecting pieces and also the
Yeah.
enterprise value of building something that can be sellable one day. But that's a very long way to answer your question.
Awesome. So then that's what led you to Offa then, and like starting and getting inside of there.
Okay, so
Y-
yeah, let's come back to Offa. So as
Yeah.
I was buying real estate, I realized pretty quickly off market is the way to go as a buyer.
Okay.
You know, if you can buy them from wholesalers, they literally find these deals. Like all they do all day long is find deals at a discount. And like I think I bought 70% of my portfolio off market. Some of the worst deals I've ever done were on market. You know,
Okay.
because if you
Yep.
think about it, it's like the leftovers. Like the things that hit the on market space, just what's left over after the pro investors have picked over the really good stuff. So um, great example. Another duplex in Sanford, North Orlando. And this is during the pandemic. I was with my parents to take care of them in Orlando. But I mean, I bought a duplex in North Orlando for 90K, and I think I sold it. I refied it first, but then I sold it 2 years later for 300K. But like
Hmm.
buying it straight away for $90,000, of course, never listed. So that off-market experience was really interesting. And as I started going out into the market looking for off-market platforms, there was only one that I actually ever found, which was Investor Lift. And I always like to say, like, they're my competitor now, of course. But my experience with Investor Lift was really simple. I used it for exactly 1 month. And when you call or when you click like contact seller on Investor Lift, what it does as a user is it takes your phone number and email as a buyer and then blasts it out to every wholesaler within 500 miles saying, hey, this guy's actively buying in this area, which I mean, it's kind of true a little bit. Um, but that means that as a real estate investor, we're always on the phone. Like we don't have the ability to turn our phone off. And I think at its peak, that month that I was using InvestorLift, I was getting 200-300 calls a day. And this is
Hmm.
before the AI calling. This is when they were
Yeah.
just using VAs. And so that was impactful to me because I was like, okay, I can't actually use this. And so then I was still investing locally. And so I got back on the phone. Like I just got to more meetings and stuff. That's how I found the,
Yeah.
the wholesalers. But that was only one side of the market. I'm a buyer. These sellers must love this. Like and I'm a small buyer. Like it's just not, it was a really bad fit for me because I can't afford. I mean, imagine trying to run a business from your phone and you can't turn your ringer off, but you get 200 to 300 calls a day. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's a contractor or I don't know if it's a wholesaler selling me a deal
Right.
of, raw land in New Mexico. And I'm like, why are you calling me?
Right.
Like, who gave you my information? So that's one, when you think about a marketplace, that's the sell side. But the buy side was really interesting because when I moved to Columbus, Ohio to be with my last boyfriend, I, uh, was there and I was recruited by a company called Empora Title. And they are a venture backed title company. And what's interesting about them is mostly what they deal with is off market because no one serves wholesalers. No one cares about them. They're too difficult. It's like challenging. And so Empora deals with about 2,000 individual wholesale teams every month. And I was their head of sales, or at least I got brought on and very quickly elevated their head of sales. Like a lot of it was just like investor communication because I was the most prolific investor they'd ever hired. They're a title company dealing with investors, had no idea how to invest in real estate. It's pretty funny. So I really was like a lot of like, yes, I know they're doing it wrong. Sorry, sorry, sorry. And I literally had to like tell our
Mm.
title companies,
Okay.
guys, like that's not how real estate works. Like sometimes. But what
Yeah.
was interesting was I learned at Empora Title. Not only did I, as a buyer, have a really bad experience with this, like the only marketplace I could find, but the sellers hated it. And that's when
Mm.
you know you have a business, David. When
Yeah.
you meet a marketplace that both sides hate the service, it's kind of like original Comcast, where like all the TV providers hated Comcast, all the users. I mean, that's what it is, right? That's what
Yeah.
really creates the Netflix of the world. Like what
Exactly.
spawns new companies is like distaste and distrust and disenfranchisement of a current provider. And so that's why Offa's been so successful is we basically built the middleman. We made it exponentially less expensive. We're still Like honestly, dude, even today, a year in, we're still figuring out the best revenue model that makes sense for everyone. I think the challenge is today free is paramount. It's really nice to do things for free, but then of course it's hard to grow a platform for free. Um, but the good news is we've kind of figured it out. I mean, we might sign some agreements this literally this week, and it's all around debt. And so
Yeah.
that's like the inception of Offa. It came from us learning that both buyers and sellers were not happy, and so you built something new.
All right, I have to pause the episode real quick. If you're a real estate investor who's tired of wondering where your money is going or why you're closing deals but still feeling broke, you need to talk to Simple CFO. Simple CFO is Profit First certified and fully endorsed by Mike McAlowitz, the creator of Profit First himself. Our team specializes in helping real estate investors finally get control of their cash flow so you keep more money, you pay yourself consistently, and build a business that doesn't run on chaos. We'll help you implement the Profit First system the right way, set up the financial processes you've been missing, and give you a dedicated fractional CFO who actually understands investing and keeping track of your numbers on flips, wholesales, rentals, private lending, all of it. So if you want predictable profit instead of living deal to deal, head over to simplecfo.com and book your financial clarity call today. That's simplecfo.com. Stop living in confusion and start keeping the money you work so hard to earn. Now, back to the episode. Cool. And then that's what Offa is. You're connecting the buyers and the sellers together. And a lot of the, would you say a lot of the people that come to use your service are like what, wholesalers or fix and flippers or people looking for those off market deals? Because you're also, how are you sourcing those off market deals too and getting, I guess, the sellers on the system as well?
Yeah, I'd be honest with you. The coolest thing about us is we're mostly word of mouth. Like I have
Oh,
a
cool.
zero advertising budget spend right now. It's going to change very soon. We're about to
Yeah.
go like we're raising more money. And we're going to funnel more money into advertising. But wholesalers talk. I mean, they're on Discords,
Yeah.
they're on communities, they're on
Well,
school. Like they're just talking all the time to each other on what works. And of
yeah,
course, when a wholesale
that's
deal
true.
moves, it's making 5, 10, 20, 50K. I literally had a
Right.
client who made an $800,000 assignment out here in California. You
Nice.
know, you
Yeah.
make
Yep.
someone
Money talks.
even 50K, like they're going to talk about you. So
Yeah.
most of Offa's growth is entirely organic. So that's really cool
That's
on the seller
crazy
side.
because I have it up over here and I'm like, you've got a lot of properties and you've got a lot of, it looks like a lot of activity and it's crazy. That's just word of mouth at this point. So I'm sure putting some money behind is just going to make it explode. And that's where it sounds like you're very focused on the experience of what a seller and a buyer experiences from that platform and making sure that they have a great experience. But that's what I'm picking up on. Would you say
Yep.
that that's going to be a focus, even if you're going after money as well, too?
Yeah, I mean, you have to as a business, you have to go after money because like you can't
Yeah,
like I
for sure.
have right now 3 engineers on staff, a chief technology officer, and like operations team to keep everything keep the gears moving. And so even though like I can kind of sustain off of like other things and not the company, it has to make money. And that's the thing
Yeah.
about where we're at in the internet now is with the rise of AI, everyone wants everything to be free and or they'd rather ChatGPT their own solution,
Yeah.
which is fine. One of the reasons why I'm building in the marketplace space is because you can't ChatGPT up a marketplace of buyers and sellers. But to clarify your question,
Yeah.
yes, our sellers are 95% wholesalers. People get properties under contract. A lot
Yeah.
of them actually are. What's that? What I'm seeing these days, and like I learned this from Bateman and some of the other ad firms. But basically, now previously you only had the wholesalers buying the leads, and these are buying off market. People like raising their hand saying, "Yes, I want to sell my house for cash." What we're seeing now is more flippers are going direct. They'd rather spend the 5 or 10K than pay the 10, 20K to the wholesaler. So they're
Yeah.
actually buying those leads directly. And the ones they don't want to keep, they go post on Offa. Great. You know, it is entirely free to post. We've been playing a lot with the system. So, David, like
Yeah.
I say free with an asterisk in that we need to make some money from our wholesalers. So it's entirely free for them to post. There's not even a credit card, but we only give them 2 viewers and 2 buyers. Meaning, if you go onto the platform, click contact seller, that's a buyer. And then the
Yeah.
viewers are people who've like authenticated into our system, meaning phone authentication, only cell phones, no VoIP, no landlines, and also email authentication. And it will give you that information, so like you can chase them. But they pay $200 a month,
Yeah.
and our average wholesaler, they move a deal, they make 5 to 10K. So like it pays for itself in a single deal. But yeah, like the experience of the buyer and seller is really important. The challenge that we're experiencing, as you can imagine, is just getting enough buyers in the right place. And also
Right.
getting enough people with enough buy boxes. We're nationwide. We didn't want to like say, oh, we're only in this area because it doesn't make sense. There's not
Right.
that many wholesalers in a certain density. So you really, to be valuable here, there's the nationwide wholesaler who want to get deals out there. And like me, for example, I have a lot of problem with the way people currently approach buy boxes because I think it's very stagnant until you go to an event or until you learn something new and you're
Mhm.
like, okay, I want to
Sure.
change. Like, and now I want to like try something new. But you very rarely, as a buyer, will go in and like update your information everywhere, so no one knows you're looking for that. The way Offa creates buy boxes is like very logical, but also like beautiful. We just use your user behavior, so we learn
Okay.
very quickly as you like David, if you clicked around to Offer right now, I could jump in, I can go search your email, and I can see what our system believes your buy box is. And we use AI to do that, but it's really just watching user behavior, just like social media does. Instead
Right.
of asking you to go fill out a form, you can fill out the form, but we think like your behavior is far more useful. But to put a cap on it, the goal of Offa is to become the CRM or MLS is a better term, like the MLS for investment real estate. Like if Zillow is for buying a house, Offa is for buying an investment property, and that is the plan going forward.
Awesome. No, I like that because, and it seems like you've got a lot of good momentum, a lot of good things happening. And if you're listening to this as the Profit First REI podcast, we talk a lot about making, spending, and keeping your money. And this is another way to make more money because it's like for a very nominal investment, blasting your properties out. Like we had something like this back in the day when we were using one of the CRMs way back when, and it was clunky and it was awful. And it's like, this is where this would have been a godsend. Like we were moving 20 to 25 properties a month, and having
Crazy.
systems like this would have been amazing. But honestly, if you have 1 to 2 deals, it just opens up your buyer pool. So it's like this is where something's going to be very valuable. So I see this from both perspectives, whether you're that seller, whether you're that buyer. It's like it's getting Ken, you're making it so when people learn about real estate, they have less and less excuses of getting into real estate. It's
Sure.
like you're literally saying, "Here's the buyer, here's a sell." Like what do you want to look for? What are you doing right now, and how are you jumping in here? So I love that. Then for the experienced investors, sounds like this is just another place where it's like, hey, I could get here, I could put my properties here, and this is now another resource for you or for them to be able to say, okay, am now on this at the MLS for real estate investors. So I love all of
Precisely.
that. And I love your story. It was very, the whole thing, just that you did say that was going to be a funny story. That was great. Like that you charge him 185K. Like I see you as that ingenuity. Like I'm just going to make it happen. And like some of those things that you talked about that I feel like they're baked into the system too. Like you're going to figure it out. If someone has an issue, how are we going to solve it? Oh, you say, instead of just telling us and having to update the buy box, no, we're going to read what your buy box is. So that way, when you actually get sent something, you'll actually look at it. And it's not just something that you're not looking at, because that was just what you selected 6 months to 2 years ago. And you're like, oh, so
Right.
everything's changed. And I just forgot to update it. So I love all of that. Sounds like you've been in sales all of your life and you've just known like that making that money, that is revenue in first position, which is another thing that we're teaching here as well too. So this has just been a lot of good stuff. I want to make sure I do put up this website here, offa.com. So if you're looking at just OFFA.com, so OFFA.com, offa.com.
It was
And we
expensive, by the way. So please,
to
please
buy
talk about it
that.
because that was an expensive domain.
So is it because did you have to buy it from someone that was holding it ransom or from someone that was using it? That's just all
Holding
is
it
it.
ransom. That the whole
Holding
game
it
now is ever
ransom.
like there's a whole. I mean, think about from a real estate investment standpoint, like it's genius.
Yeah.
She bought it 2 years ago for $15. And we ended up buying it from
Oh
her
man.
for $15,000.
Oh, that's a pretty good return. So
It's a wild
yes,
return, but also we don't have a choice. I mean, we wanted like a short domain. I will tell
yeah,
you. So we're in the technology space, right? And like
yeah,
there's some things that really speak to your seriousness as a startup. Your domain
yep,
is one of them. If you're a
yep,
.ai, you're hypey, and it's going to be really annoying in the very soon future. If you're .io, no one outside of tech knows what .io means. We
right,
are consumer grade. We're made for investors, and like we know that there's 5 to 10 million investors in the United States, and our aim
yep,
is to get like penetrate 10 to 20% of that market, in the next year or two. So we had to go for that. But David, can I take the conversation back to like where we're at now, just
yeah,
because I want to talk about lending and financing.
yeah. Let's do it.
We So customer obsession is pretty important to us. We really think about the buyer's experience. That's why it's always been free. We had some people say like, "Hey, you're gonna charge buyers like $20 a month to access this," and I'm like, buyers are hot girls. Hot girls drink for free. You know,
Yeah.
like we do not want to slow down the influx of buyers. I'm very happy. I can show you a chart that shows you on an average day right now with no marketing, we're adding 25 to 50 net new buyers every day, seven
Oh,
days a
wow.
week.
Yeah.
Like, and what's wild is so many of them are in the middle of the night. It's the time you're looking
Hmm.
at real estate. It's time you have away from your kids are
Right.
down.
Yep.
Have some time to think. Okay, how am I going to grow? And we have a mobile app. People love it. People come back to the mobile app. We get push notifications. But let me tell you the thing that we really learned. Wholesalers are a boom and bust industry. Some weeks they make 40K, then they go 2 months without income. So like they're
Right.
very like subscription phobic. And so that's been a challenge for us. And they're like, how do you fund your and grow your business if they won't pay? And obviously, I just said buyers won't pay. So it's not like Amazon. Like I don't have. And by the way, if you guys don't know, watch this podcast, you quite literally cannot transact real estate online. There's a lot of companies
Hmm.
that have tried and talked about it.
Right.
I can tell you from being the reason why I joined Empora Title, that last like my last full time role, was because I thought that like Empora would figure it out. Oh, absolutely not. There's
Hmm.
7 to 10,000 counties nationwide. Like this is not going to happen. I think in our lifetime, just because no one cares enough, and like there's way too many people who have built out systems and want it to go slow, and the banks want it to go slow, and everyone like the instant idea. All of that is a hard no. That's not going to happen.
Right.
They want the slowness. They want the third party objections. They want the delays because that helps them like manage cash flow. We're moving
Yeah.
lots of money with real estate. So what we learned for our business from David, from like a business point of view, is entirely based around lending. We
Hmm.
learned that like debt is actually the most important piece here because
Yep.
actually, it's not true. I bought my first property all cash because I was scared blankless. I
Yeah.
was really scared. And I was like, I'm buying it. And I did the rehab at all cash. Like, I literally, all that money, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
just a little property, which is, a terrible idea. Like, as I know now, but I was just so scared. I was like,
Yeah.
honestly, I was really
Not
nervous.
terrible if it worked for you. So.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I could have done 4 properties, but like it was
Yeah.
successful because I could focus, and it was a paid MBA. I walked away with like $200,000 in that deal. Like it was really amazing.
Yeah.
Here's what I will say. Lending has been really impactful for our business, and the thing is, debt is the probably one of the biggest reasons why I think people like real estate. The leverage. You
Oh yeah.
can leverage so much, and I think there's a lot of mystification around debt. People don't know how much debt you can get. People don't know what's the appropriate amount. And so if we think wholesalers are the people that arbitrage, they basically say, hey, I got this property for 90K and I sell to this person for 110. Like that's their value, is really just market
Yeah.
making and making the money in the middle. Lenders are 10 times worse. Most lenders you connect with are quite literally a broker of a broker of a broker. And so there's so many mouths to feed in the middle. Um, and what we learned is a lot of our buyers are just get exhausted by chasing the wrong broker. And like these brokers that aren't proactive. I've experienced this, David. If you bought real estate, like you don't get
Yep.
an A plus with a lender every time. And
Right.
so Offa started getting into lending because we learned that there are lenders who are willing to give up to 100% financing. And here's what's really interesting about that, David. If you go to like a lot of the major masterminds, one of the biggest things they sell is access to lenders that will do 100% financing. And the
Yeah.
reason why people don't talk about this is it's scary for the lender. They don't want to do it, or at
Right.
least like they're scared of it, but they're happy to do it with people who are experienced and have 700, 750 credit scores and have some cash on hand. They just want to see that you're not a total newbie and that you don't like what you're doing. But amazingly, Offa's really good at finding those people because we have the thing that they all want, which is the investment real estate and like the discounted properties. And so we really found our revenue model relatively recently, since December, in lending. And what's really cool is we're quite literally connecting buyers with 100% financing. That's
Hmm.
it only works with this very specific asset class. It has to be distressed, so that the property has to be cheaper already. The after
Yeah.
repair value has to be higher. So all those things, but like the beauty of Offa is you can go on Offa right now and find properties that are 20, 30, 40% off like, public market. And of course, they're not
Yeah.
always the best areas. Like they're not in good condition. You got to work on it, but like it's a really nice discount. And so what I'm really proud of is we launched our lending operation in January. I think we had 200 loans in flight, and now just every day we get new people wanting to get loans. Again, all organic growth, all organic to our lenders, and most importantly, we're now getting referrals. People
Hmm.
are saying, I love this. I'm so excited about the opportunity to have 100% financing, 100% of purchase, and 100% of rehab. And that's really been the cornerstone of our business because you know who will pay you? Lenders. Lenders will pay you to connect with them. Buyers won't
Yeah.
pay us. Wholesalers won't pay us. It's the lenders. And so as we figure that out, we now have a really nice business. And what the beauty is, we're able to go like take that money we earn, and now we can put it into marketing, which builds the actual marketplace larger. And that's what
Right.
2026 is getting. I mean, dream scenario would be getting to 1 million users. I don't know if we're going to hit that, but that would be the killer. I mean, that's where the game changes. That's where if everyone knows what Offa is, of all these buyers, and I think you heard me at the Family Mastermind that I want to do a Super Bowl commercial, which is funny because Super Bowl's this weekend. But that's like explaining how big I think this could be. Like the average American wants to invest in real estate. They'd like to have access to this, but you need exposure. People don't know it exists. People don't know the market exists.
No, this is great. And you're really giving them access, and you're giving them access from whether it's day 1 or day 1,000 for them, like in the real estate journey. So I really love what you've built, and then the financing being built into it. I love that as well, too, because everyone's always looking for that financing, like you were saying, and even paying for access there. So it's like, sounds like you're pouring your heart and soul into this, which is great. And this is a tool for someone who's, whether you're down the road or whether you're just getting started. So Offa.com, I'm going to put it back here one more time. Offa.com, OFFA.com. Go check it out and check out everything. And it's free to go, at least go check it out. Look at the website, look at the properties, look at all the stuff. So I love what you've built, Ken, and I love what you're building and building out. So this has been great. If you also are listening to this podcast and you're like, this is great, but I'm a real estate investor and I'm making money, but I can't keep any of it, head over to simplecfo.com. We want to make sure you're keeping the money and not just going out there spinning your wheels. You need revenue in the door, but you need a system to protect it. So that's what we do, simplecfo.com. Ken, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being a great guest today. And again, that's offa.com, OFFA.com. Go out there, check it out. Ken, thanks again.
Thank you.
That's it for today's show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this episode. If you're serious about financial systems and keeping more of your profit, visit simplecfo.com to take your free discovery call today.